And it reads, "But the more they were called, they went away from me, and they sacrificed to the bells." So the child that was called out of Egypt sacrificed to idol pagan gods.
I hope you guys have listened to the video very carefully. Now, we have two verses or chapters here. One, Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 to 15, and second is Hosea chapter 11, verse 1. So, what does these two verses means? And does these two verses or chapters shows us that Jesus was or is idol worshipper? So, welcome guys to my channel. If you are new here, please do subscribe and share with your fellow big. And don't forget to leave your feedback in the comment section. So let's try to learn. Hosea chapter 11 verse 1. The context of this verse shows us the relationship Lord had with the nation of Israel. The Lord loved Israel. Exodus chapter 4 verse 22 to 23. And we know how the Lord rescued or saved the people from slavery under Pharaoh, bringing Israelite to the promised land. The resemblance is that of God as the father and Israel as the child.
According to Matthew, the son who was taken out of Egypt is Jesus. In this context, that same son worships and sacrifices to idols.
Jewish reader would have much clear understanding about this important statement, as God's supernatural power served as the basis of nations' freedom from oppression and escaped to a new land. The resemblance in the verse, Israel or child or son, and loved or called out, in both clues, God is initiating the action. Please do read from Matthew chapter 2 verse 13 to 15. And now first point, typology of Israel. Matthew often presents Jesus as new and greater Israel, just as Israel was God's son in Old Testament, called out of Egypt. So is Jesus, who fulfills that role. Jesus' journey, escaping from Herod and then living in Egypt, then returning to Israel, resembles the story of Israel's own history. Now, second point, Jesus as the true Israel. By quoting Hosea chapter 11 verse 1, Matthew underscores the idea that Jesus is the true representative of God's people. Where Israel failed but Jesus succeeded, he is the perfect fulfillment of God's promises to his people. Now, Matthew is using Hosea's statement to show that the coming of the Messiah is an extension of God or Lord's love to his people. We need to understand that Matthew does not say that Hosea had Jesus in his mind while writing Hosea chapter 11 verse 1. Instead, Matthew says that the experience of Jesus and Israelites matches what Hosea had written about Israel. As we all know that Jesus is God's son and he made a trip from Egypt to the land of Israel. What Matthew was trying to show here is that Jesus completed what was begun with Exodus, which connecting Jesus to the promise of Abraham and to the leadership of Moses. The calling God's son as Israel began in ages past and found its completion in the coming of Christ to fulfill the law and the prophets. Now, in the end, Hosea chapter 11 verse 1 should not be taken as messianic prophecy in the same way that prophecies such as Joshua chapter 9 verse 6 are. Rather, it is a pictorial prophecy that is obviously we see similarities in the Old Testament passages to the New Testament truth about Christ. This Old Testament picture of a Christ called type, Matthew chapter 2 verse 15, we can see as an resemblance that Matthew is providing a connection between Jesus and God's people of promise. As a Jew writing primarily for a Jewish reader, Matthew found it important to point out many of the similarities between the nation of Israel and with their Messiah, the one to fulfill the prophets. Matthew chapter 5 verse 17. And I hope you guys like this video. Please do subscribe and share with your fellow being. And don't forget to leave your feedback in the comment section, and many more episodes are coming up.